Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sabrina Online panel. I couldn't tell you how I found Sabrina Online, only that it pulled me in from panel 1 and didn't let go. I had a fascination with the whole thing, the time period in which it takes place, the art style, and even the way it was produced. It felt very nostalgic to me. I could never put my finger on why it made me feel that way, but I'm going to attempt to work it out here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this comic, Sabrina Online follows the life of Sabrina Skunk starting in 1996 as she navigates friends, family, romance, an unconventional work environment, and going online for the very first time. All of these challenge her in different ways, forcing her to step outside of her comfort zone. For example, on the subject of an unconventional work environment, Sabrina is an introverted girl who went to school for art. She is having a difficult time finding and holding down a job, but eventually does get one as a website designer of a popular local adult video studio. Sabrina is more conservative when it comes to these sorts of topics, so right out of the gate she's being put into an uncomfortable situation. What doesn't help is that her boss, an adult star named Zigzag, is on the total opposite end of that spectrum. She's very comfortable in her own fur and embraces her career. She takes a particular liking to Sabrina, putting Sabrina in an even more difficult position. But it's through these interactions that Sabrina learns to loosen up a bit, and Zigzag learns boundaries. And as for her love life, she initially lies to the guy that's interested in her by sending a false picture of herself, something she has to come clean over. But while all of these examples are why the comic is interesting, it doesn't explain why I have a strange nostalgia for it. If I can be open for a moment, there's something about the formation of the internet, the cutting edge tech from the 80s through the 90s, where people were going online and exploring the World Wide Web for the first time, that fascinates me. Perhaps it's the hindsight effect, knowing where it's going to all end up from such simple beginnings. Sabrina Online was written and starts in that era. Though Sabrina's character was created prior to 1996, her main comic didn't start until then. The start of the comic sees her buying her first internet connection from a company called Croaksnet, a parody of Ohio's Cokesnet, and the salesman is a frog. Get it? We have fun here. And so after a great deal of tedium, she hooks herself up to the internet and explores the World Wide Web, which she kind of regrets after falling into a tale as old as time. Lonely creeps on the internet. But specifically, she explores IRCs, which is short for Internet Relay Chat. It was a popular form of chat room back in the day. Today's closest equivalent would be Discord, but it's way more stripped down. IRC went out of style with the rise of message boards and eventually social media. But it is the relatability of spending so much time online that brings me into her. I guess maybe in a weird way, I'm kind of jealous that I never got to experience this form of the internet. Being on the cutting edge of technology draws me into Sabrina Online. She's also the cute nerdy type, which I still seem to have a thing for. But I was just a child when the start of this comic takes place. I would have been 1 year old when Sabrina first goes online, so why do I feel nostalgic for this era? An era that I had no part in. Why do I feel nostalgic for this comic that takes place in an era that I had no part in? Maybe it's just nostalgia for simpler times. It doesn't help that the Sabrina Online website still has an old 90s nostalgic vibe to it. The internet may have been the Wild West, but this brought forth a sense of wonder and creativity, the likes of which really hasn't been seen since. Gone are the days of personalized websites, now replaced with sterile, samey profiles across social media. And Sabrina Online kind of explores this simplicity. It was, and still is, made on an old Amiga computer and art program, or at least a virtual machine of it now. It's comfortable. And I know none of this may make sense. It's still hard for me to accurately express how and why I feel nostalgic for something I shouldn't, but I feel it all the same. Maybe I just want to go back to what the comic represents. When I was younger, the internet was this magical thing that totally opened the gates to a world of information. Now everything feels played out and corporatized to me. It feels like there are no frontiers left to blaze. But so long as Sabrina is around, I can go back and remember how exciting things were. It really is a wonderful comic and I highly recommend reading it. Just keep in mind that it does cover adult topics. Also, check out the radio play. Thank you all so much for listening to my rambling over Sabrina Online, and I will see you all next time.